The Promising Youth Tempest Trials is here to accompany our kids banner. With 50,000 points, you can earn up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. This month we have from 4 divine codes and 1 wind blessing for legendary Yuri. Sacred seals include Threaten Spd and Res, and Desperation. The reward unit is going to be Young Lucius, who has a very nice weapon for himself. We'll talk about Lucius more later on. First up, Sacred Seals. Threaten Spd and Res 2 states, at start of turn, inflict Speed and Res -4 on foes within 2 spaces throughout their next action. Bit of an interesting Sacred Seal choice. Threaten Spd and Res 2 has never been the last skill for any unit. It actually came straight with Speed and Res Menace, which has only been on a single unit so far. This is also the first dual Threaten to become a seal, and while the regular Threaten Sacred Seals aren't exactly top tier, adding a second debuff stat doesn't really change that. There are quite a lot of heroic Grail units with Threaten, Attack, and Defense 2 in the C slot, so you could combo with that for the full -4 stats. The Threaten skills have largely been replaced by Menace skills since they have double the range at the cost of only hitting the closest enemy. Threatens hit everything within 2 spaces, but generally you're not going to end up with a ton of enemies right next to your unit. If you do, typically no, that's not good. I wouldn't really recommend any of the Threaten Sacred Seals currently, but maybe they'd be fine on a budget build. Next up, much more interesting seal, Desperation 3. If unit has less than 75% HP and initiates combat, unit can make a follow-up attack before a foe can counter. Long time solid B skill, but there has been a lot more options to compete with Desperation. You need a follow-up to use Desperation, so typically faster units use it best. However, speedy units now have access to dodge B skills for damage reduction instead of 2 immediate attacks. It's still a good perk, but more and more competition has arrived and you need to be on lower HP for Desperation. One thing to watch out for nowadays is that the super easy to use above 25% HP condition a ton of weapons have sort of clashes with the less than 75% HP of Desperation. It's doable, but it's just a bit iffy. On a positive note, a lot of weapons have offense and a follow-up, which guarantees Desperation activates if you outspeed. Without it, a simple follow-up denial will stop this skill. Let's talk about some ideas to use Desperation with. It's not a popular playstyle, but with Vengeful Fighter 4 coming onto the scene, who's to say Bold Fighter 4 in the future can't entice some player phase armor builds. Bold Fighter has no HP condition, and the free follow-up attack works with Desperation. The extra cooldown reduction can charge special on the first hit, and then the second hit can proc it. For Flyers and Cavaliers, Flow B skills come with offense and a follow-up. Flow Guard could let you survive the first encounter by not getting hit by a bonfire, and then for later initiations, you have Desperation. We mentioned for Young Elliewood, since he has no follow-up on his weapon, you can now run Desperation with his Near Trace B skill for Kanto. Flow Near Trace will also do both jobs. There are also tempo skills, or more importantly, the No Guard effect. Charge special hit 1, proc on hit 2. The biggest issue for Desperation is getting to under 75% HP safely. Units like Ascended Celica just straight up have Miracle, and skills like Fury or Push 4 have recoil damage built in. You can also use Winter or Spring Bernadetta. She enables some very interesting strategies which involve self-damaging the team, which lets you use Ardent Sacrifice or Reciprocal Aid to swap HP values. Usually it's used for Wings of Mercy, but just throwing the idea out for Desperation. Overall, very interesting Sacred Seal. You'll sacrifice stats, but not getting hit and being able to run some powerful B skills alongside with it could be worth it. I think it's definitely worth the upgrade, at least to play around with.
Nice to meet you. I'm Lucius, a retainer to House Cornwell. Just one moment. No need to worry. My sickness has passed.
Our reward unit this month is Young Lucius, or Little Lucius, or you can shorten that further to Lil Lush. He is once again an infantry healer, which normally would not be turning any heads, but not this time. For stats, Lucius has 38 HP, 45 attack, 31 speed, 17 defense, and 47 resistance, awful defense, awkward speed, and kinda lowish HP. However, 45 base attack will make Lucius the highest attack healer in the game. Additionally, I messed up yesterday, Dual Mark and Bastion do tie for highest res, but it's the second highest, after Lucius. I was looking at Dragonflyer stats, but Lucius straight up has one more res than Mark. You can do something interesting with that high res stat, and obviously this means magic damage will bounce off our little light mage. Still has that weird speed and bad defense stat, but Lucius has solutions to those issues. Now, stats alone do not make Lucius a great free-to-play healer. He is the only non-5-star healer to get a unique weapon, and maybe you've noticed, but non-5-star healers have not gotten new weapons and refines, which kinda sucks. This is huge because one issue for free-to-play healers is that it's very tough to stand out. Lucius automatically is intriguing. The Mystic War's staff has 14 might, grants +3 flat attack, and has built-in Wrathful Staff. At start of turn, if Lucius is within 2 spaces of an ally, he grants +6 defense against field boss and a follow-up denial status to himself and those allies for 1 turn. Additionally, if Lucius is within 3 spaces of an ally, he gets +6 attack and res in combat and makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Bro, free-to-play combat units with unique weapons rarely get a follow-up built in, and a healer is getting one. Honestly, this feels very similar to Reeve, where I thought, wow, he already has a unique and cool support perk, but then he also gets some decent combat skills. Would have been totally fine with one or the other, but both is just awesome. High stack healer in the game gets +9 attack, a follow-up attack, and Wrathful Staff. I think everyone knows what's going in that B slot. However, if you don't want to use Lucius for pure offense, he has good support. +6 defense res field boss and a follow-up denial status is pretty good. Best part is that Lucius gets these perks too, so our boy gets another 12 res to stack up and basically has full-on Omnibreaker. You could literally not ask for more from a free healer. Unfortunately, fun stats and an incredible weapon means Lucius' skills are not that impressive. Martyr and Heavenly Light are no strangers and honestly totally replaceable if you want. If Lucius does fight and get hurt, Martyr can heal for more HP, plus itself heals Lucius. For his A skill, Attack and Res Ideal is not new, but it's fine on Lucius because he gives himself a status effect, so it should remain active even if he does get hurt. If you got Dazzling Staff, you can avoid all damage together though. For C skills, Lucius has Distant Guard 3, plus for defense and res for allies against ranged units. Synergizes with Mystic War Staff, which is fine, but again, not a new skill for Heroic Grail units. Basically, it's kind of a boring base kit, but actually synergistic for Lucius himself. If you aren't going to heavily invest in him, just find a B skill. Now if you plan to merge this dude, Lucius gets +1 HP attack and res with the neutral nature. Not bad, but maybe you want to go full on extra flat res or even more attack. I mean, with the merges, Lucius hits 51 res at +10 merges. Res Boon puts him at 54. With his defense res field buffs, you get to 60 flat res on the field. Yeesh. Now, we actually do not get that many Heroic Grail healers. Summer Reese and Aramia are the only infantry ones, and I mean there is zero competition if we're talking about attack or resistance stats here. Lucius blows everyone out of the water if you're looking for high damage or high res. Even Valentine's Lissa, the only armored healer, has 9 less attack and 6 less res with Dragon Flowers. Obviously, her charm is that 21 extra defense and more HP as well. Lucius is cool, but if you just want a full-on tank, kinda tough to beat Lissa as an army unit. Now for the crazy healer emblem enthusiasts out there, imagine Lucius, Silk, and Lissa on your team. Lucius gives +6 defense res field buffs with follow-up denial. Silk with her new Refine gives +6 defense res in combat with healing. Lissa can run far save, and her staff attribute gives another +6 defense res for herself, and it also heals. Obviously, we're missing a lot of other tank perks, but what a hilarious sight it would be. If you want to mix in another tankish healer, Valentine's Silk does her best to try to be like the original stat-wise, pretty high defense and okay res by healer standards. While Lucius can put some firepower with his free follow-up attack, if you want a more traditional attack and speed stacking healer, then Crusader Scion Nana is still great. She's a flyer and has good speed to double enemies potentially. For demoted 3 to 4 star units, a lot more competition is here. Earlier this BST generation we got Dwyer, Elise, and Nina. Not a lot of excitement at the time, but since then we've got to the new healer specials and tier 4 Wrathful and Dazzling Staff skills. Elise and Nina have okay offensive stats if you're looking for damage builds, but that requires a heck of a lot of investment. Dwyer and Linhart are some of the newer healers with high base res. There are others who slightly pull ahead, but no one is close to Little Lucius anyway, and those are much older units. If you want to run res based skills, really tough to beat the new kid on the block. Now, since we were discussing tankier healers, Linhart is the closest to a free-to-play version of Silk stat-wise. His defense is on the higher end, and he has good resistance. Normally, stats alone may not have been enough for Little Lucius to stand out, but thanks to Mystic War Staff, there really is no competition if you just want someone unique. For playstyle, Lucius will buff his team and himself with +6 defense and res with a follow-up denial status. If he attacks, he's going to get extra attack and res and a free follow-up attack. Attack and res ideal grants +5 attack and resistance and will stay active thanks to the follow-up denial status. He isn't the fastest unit, so Lucius can be stopped by enemy follow-up denial, outspeeding, and no follow-up. Ideally, we really want Dazzling Staff to not get hit back, but it's still not exactly the freest skill to get. If you don't have it, you could try Guard as a substitute, and Desperation can also fill the same role, but Lucius needs to get hurt. Obviously, physical damage will still probably take him out, but you could try to raise that and hope for the best. For example, you could run Distant Defense 3 instead if you just want to play defensive. For fun, if you want full buffing, you can use Attack Speed 03. Speed can help Lucius against slow tanks since the free follow-up can cancel out follow-up denial. With full +6 field buffs, you could then run bonus doubler for maximum bonus stats out of the Sacred Seal. Now for support, you have Distant Guard for +15 res in combat. You can double stack that, or even swap to Close Guard if you like. You can also just use regular drives or spurs, whatever fits your need. If you want a support B skill, makes sense for the highest res unit in the game to run Sabotage and by extension, Ploy C skills. These can get Lucius better combat power himself if you go with attack and res debuffs. This year has given us some new healer skills, so if you have them, we can do some fun things. With Wrathful Staff on Mystic War Staff, you're going to need Dazzling Staff or Shift for the Wrathful Dazzling combo. Very good for a healer who can get their own follow-up attack. If you can get Dazzling Shift from Ascended Lencia, you can also get Light's Restraint and Rescue Plus. It is possible to get Dazzling Staff 3 from Combat Manuals. I think we had a Winter Erica Ephemera a long time ago. There was also one Dazzling Staff holder in each normal Divine Code section. In Normal 1, Spring Burn was in the 3rd slot, Normal 2 has Bridal Fury in the 2nd slot, Normal 3 has Sarah in the 4th slot. Most recent, Normal 4 has Hatari Zane in that 1st slot. Zane is the cheapest, especially for players without stashes of older Divine Codes. However, Zane also has the Serpentine Plus staff, one of the more unique inheritable staffs, and would be a shame to not use it if you like healers. However, you get Dazzling Staff 3, that will make Ascendant Elyncia prime fodder for Lucius. With Time's Pulse, you can get a 1 crit on Light's Restraint, and with his follow-up attack plus Dazzling Staff, you can actually proc the special on the second attack safely. That's a pretty good setup. With Dazzling Shift, you also get Warping, and if you want, it does debuff enemy speed. If you're going to go full damage, boosting speed can help against the middling speed enemies who deny follow-up attacks. Other common perks for healers include Finish 4A skills. With Time's Pulse, Lucius can benefit from Finish 4, and if you don't have the damage specials, you could use a Bomb special. It will instantly charge those with Time's Pulse. If you want to make Lucius a pure magic damage wall, you could take Mystic Boost 3 or 4. He won't get absolutely destroyed by dragons now, and he can mess with his fellow healers. For premium support skills, on the Kids banner, Dual Mark has brought a Sabotage Attack and Res 3, literally perfect for Lucius if you want debuffs for your team, and the new effect it has can give him -9 attack and res in combat on top of the -6 debuffs. Mark can also pass along Content Control 3 and suddenly you have a great support build with Mystic War Staff. If you are hell-bent on winning the res checks though, you could run Stillwater or Forge's Defense and Res. For other support skills, you could use Drink Drives or the Infantry No Fall buff. Overall, an incredible Tempest Trials. Desperation as a seal, I wouldn't call game breaking, but it's absolutely an interesting option. It could maybe help units take down tanks better if you can find the right B skill to combo with, and you can get into the under 75% HP threshold. As for Little Lucius, probably the best free-to-play healer we've gotten in 6 years, pretty much by default. The only one with a unique weapon, and is actually stacked for a free weapon. Non-5-star healers do not seem to get new weapons or refines, so Lucius is going to stay unique for a very long time. I would say he is essentially a 5-star without premium skills. He has potential combat usage, or you can build around his support perks. Stat-wise, you got top tier attack and res, but do watch out for physical attacks. Obviously though, Lucius won't be as insane as Ascended Lencia or Dewey Elise for combat, he just has a lot more to work with over every other free-to-play healer. Having decent support for your team only makes him better. 100% worth keeping a single copy. I mean, not really any huge reasons to use him for skill inheritance anyway. I would still like to see more support skills for healers though, but at least with his high res, Lucius can make use of the new tier 4 Sabotage. If anything new comes out, maybe it will also work well with Mystic War Staff's team benefits. That'll be it for this video. Good luck farming the Tempest Trials. Next up, we'll talk about the Ephemera Common Manuals for this month, and you really want those Divine Codes this time. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.